Tahu ya.
Ngomong.
Gue selesai Kis loadingnya. Ntar kirim ke gue.
Lima menit lagi.
Admin sekarang ya.
Cek YouTube belum mulai kan ya?
Belum, biasanya kalau mulai ada tulisannya di sini.
Admin sekarang ya.
Cek YouTube belum mulai kan ya?
Yang pembicara aja kan.
Oke, gue admit. Gue admit semua.
Oke.
Siapa? Nggak ada yang mau nyapa.
Assalamualaikum.
Halo.
Halo.
Hai.
Hai.
Kenalan.
Halo, Rizal Maulana.
Ya, halo Bang Ricky Poda.
Dari mana?
I'm from Bintaro.
No. Why?
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera bagi kita semua. Shalom, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, Salam Kebajikan. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you are on your best condition, even though we have spent half of this year quarantined at home. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Nasha, and it is my pleasure to be your host for today's Kenalan. Now, on behalf of Trisakti University Lanskap Architecture Student Association, I would like to extend a very warm welcome to all of you. We appreciate you taking the time of your busy schedules to join us today. First of all, let us praise and thank God for His blessings given to all of us so that we can gather here in good health amid this pandemic. Before we start this event, I would like to mention Honorable Mrs. Insinyur Hini Jati Wijaya as the head of Trisakti University Landscape Architecture Department. Our Honorable Professor from Trisakti University Landscape Architecture Department. Our today's special speakers, Karina Z and Juan Kim from the University of the Philippines, Diliman. And lastly, to the Hijau Jakartaku 2020 Committee, and our dear friends that participate in today's Kenalan. Today is the first day of 8 days Kenalan event. This year, 2020, is the first time ever Kenalan being held by the Trisakti University Landscape Architecture Student Association. Kenalan is an abbreviation of Kepoin, Anak, Lanskap, which means getting to know with landscape architecture students. So, at this event, we will discuss everything and anything related to landscape architecture study or profession. To formally take off our event this afternoon, it is my pleasure to invite Intan Fadilah Birrul Walidain as the Chief Executive of Hijau Jakartaku 2020 to deliver her opening address.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Intan Fadilah as the Chief Executive of the Kenalan event. First of all, I thank you all for joining in this event that called Kenalan or Kepoin Anak Lanskap. We are so excited and grateful because that our speakers, Karina and Juwon from University of the Philippines, Diliman, are willing to share their experience and knowledge to us. Hopefully, this event can connect landscape architecture student connection and share knowledge with each other. Thank you and enjoy the event.
Thank you, Kak Intan, for your warm opening. Next, I would like to invite Efrain Bremalan as the Chief of the Landscape Architecture Student Association of Trisakti University to deliver his opening speech.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. I am proud to express my gratitude for being able to gather and carry out the comparative study on this occasion. First, I would like to say thank you to Karina, Juwon, and our friends from Landscape Architecture of the University of the Philippines, Diliman, and also all universities in Indonesia for joining this activity. This is an extraordinary moment for Landscape Architecture of Trisakti University to be able to share experience that will produce knowledge for all of us here. As we know that the COVID-19 has occurred in almost all parts of the world. And I think for sure, we all feel the impact of it. However, I actually feel that there is a hope that grows stronger from within all of us. And what the hope is, it is a hope to keep enthusiasm to the activities, even though conducted by online, to give the best for each other, even though the current situation is less favorable. And we are applying it today. Therefore, I am very happy to be here because it is not about the way of communicating we use, but the value of how we are willing to share stories and experience regardless of country, race, and culture. Because we all use a fundamental principle, it is a humanity. And once again, I am represent landscape architecture of Trisakti University Jakarta. Want to say thank you for all of you and welcome to our discussion today. And enjoy everyone, and really hope that we can get a lot of benefit from this activity. Thank you. God bless us.
Thank you so much, Brian, for that great opening speech. And now I would like to welcome Pak Eko as the Secretary of the Trisakti University Landscape Architecture Department. And now, with our today's topic, getting closer to landscape architecture student, without further ado, allow us to invite our today's special speakers, Karina C. and Juwon Kim from University of the Philippines, Diliman.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Halo Karina.
Hello.
Oh, Karina. Oh my God.
Hello, Karina.
Hello.
Hello, Karina. Hello, Juwon.
Thank you again for inviting us today.
Hi, guys.
Yeah, so Juwon and I prepared a PowerPoint presentation, so she will just share her screen. Yeah.
Okay. Oops. Wait, sorry. Oh, no. Sorry, wait. There. Can you guys see the screen?
Yes, it's clear.
Okay.
Yes, Juan.
Okay.
Yes.
So let's.
Yes, it's clear.
Okay. So thanks again for inviting us today to speak at your event. So my name is Karina C. And my friend's name is Joan. And
Oh. Oh. Huh. Okay.
do you want to share it from the Google?
Oh, yeah, sure. Hold on.
Yeah.
Can you see it on the screen?
Yes.
Why is it paused? Oh, there.
You can click present.
Where is present? Oh.
Upper right. Yeah. Okay. So thank you. So yeah, we are landscape architecture students at the University of the Philippines, Diliman. And so a little bit about me, I first got into landscape architecture because I loved how public spaces can really bring people together. I also love how LA shapes how communities in cities grow, and it can also improve lives. So today I'm also interested in how LA is in a great position to help the world face and adapt to our environmental problems like climate change, And yes. So besides this, I also enjoy doing UI, UX, and product design.
And then to briefly introduce myself. So hi guys, my name is Juan and I'm also a landscape architecture student. And before I got into landscape architecture, I was in biology. So I've always been interested in like plants and animals and environment in general. And I've also been interested in like arts, especially analog styles like manual renders and watercolor. So I shifted into landscape architecture since it's the combination of both like research aspect of it and the art aspect, and it's a great way to express my creativity into it. And then in the future, I want to pursue like urban planning and urban studies because it's a much more, it involves like the sense of community and politics into landscape architecture, and it's a design aspect that is important into going into the future.
So now we're going to talk a bit more about how we approach design in our school. So the most fundamental part is really research and understanding the context and the problem of what we're trying to do. So this applies in any sort of design, but especially in landscape design. So we really try to understand the goals of the project and the design, and of course the needs and wants of the users and stakeholders who will be using the design. So after that, we really move on to site analysis, which is usually performed when we do our site visits. And here we also perform a site inventory and a SWOT analysis, which helps us better understand the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats of every aspect of the site. So this could be like things that we experience on the site. So maybe what we see, views, smells, as well as the bigger picture things like sun path or wind direction. So these are all taken into consideration in the site analysis. After this, we develop our design concept, which will really be the thing that shapes our proposed solution, and as well as the form and function of the design. It also serves as our design inspiration in all steps of the process as well.
Yeah, and then when it comes to coming up with the concept, we're usually encouraged to come up with like a strong one-word concept wherein it's a tangible and can be expressed into other conceptual aspects of it. And then after we come up with the concepts, we then proceed into creating the actual drawings. So we proceed to the preliminary diagrams, and this is like the rough sketches of before going into the actual drawings. So it includes a proximity matrix and bubble diagrams. So these are basically just wherein we list down all the possible activities and spaces that we want to incorporate into the site. And then we determine how they are placed in relation to one another, how they're accessed from the outside and from within. And it gives us a very rough and visual representation of how the spaces will be laid out. And then we proceed to the final drawing. So this includes the site development plan, the section elevations, the perspectives, and all the technical or working drawings involved. So we usually use CAD program for our working drawings, and since it's much more precise and easier and faster to work with. And then for our perspectives, we use SketchUp for the 3D models, and then we plug those into rendering softwares like Twinmotion. And then for presentation materials, which is the last part of coming up with a plate, is presenting it in front of an audience or the panel. And we usually come up with presentation boards and PowerPoint presentations. So these boards and PowerPoint presentations are it's a combination of all the drawings that we've worked on, and it's presented in a very aesthetic and visually pleasing way so that the audience, whatever their course or background, can easily understand the drawings that we have made.
So to give you some examples, we're going to share some of the works of our classmates in the same year. So this is Nova Bayan, a project by Day-1. And I believe it was a project for her urban planning class. And here she used SketchUp for the model and also Twinmotion for the rendering. This is a community development with a community library called the Marikina Riverside Mobius Strip by Bea Miranda. And so actually, if you take a look at the scenes on the right side, these were all rendered in Twinmotion as well. So it's hard to see, but these look really nice.
And then for the next one, it's a Nayong Filipino project by Kevin Enaguas. So for the perspectives, we've also done it in SketchUp and then rendered it in Twinmotion. And then he used CAD for the site development plan and for the details. And in order to render the CAD file, he just extracted it and then placed it in Photoshop and colored it in a way that it can be visually understandable. And then it's another one of our classmates' work, Jade Yukdawan, and it's a lovely Koizen. So she made a 3D model in SketchUp, and then she added all the softscape and the rendering process in Twinmotion.
So now we're going to kind of share more about our personal projects, me and Juwan's. So what I'm going to share is my mini thesis topic for last semester, which is titled The Rice Terraces of the Cordillera Combined with Modern Eco-Technology to Combat Risks Brought by Climate Change. So this is actually a design for Nayong Pilipino, which is a Filipino-themed park that will be developed in a very developed district of Manila. So obviously a big component for this is really celebrating Filipino culture. And because of this, I chose to celebrate our native indigenous culture of the Ifugao. But before we get there, I'm just going to talk about the risks of climate change to the Philippines. So this is where I really started developing the design and the research, which is to find out what we want to solve. Well, not solve, but what we want to kind of adapt to. And what I found is that because of climate change, we are now experiencing stronger and more frequent typhoons. And I think this is not just limited to the Philippines, but also to even Southeast Asia. And because of these stronger and more frequent typhoons, urban flooding and flooding in general are becoming a bigger and bigger problem that we must face. So another problem would be the heat island effect. And this is basically heat that is most felt in urban areas because there's typically not enough green spaces to absorb this heat. And so all of these problems kind of give us the need to also to think more sustainable and to invest more in renewable energy. And going back to the Ifugao rice terraces, so hello. So, going back to the Ifugao rice terraces, it is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and it was built by the Ifugao tribe. And it's so important because it's one of the very few remaining well-preserved pieces of indigenous culture here in the Philippines. So I would like to share my site development plan. And it's hard to see here, but it's really inspired by the Cordillera form and the elevations and the different elevations. So the reason why I included this, not just because of the concept, but it's also because it kind of directs and shapes the flow of water. And the big idea behind this design is that it's supposed to be able to hold water to prevent flooding. So it's supposed to be able to hold water from the surrounding sites as well as within the site to prevent urban flooding. So in the upper right corner of the slide, it's actually a small diagram of how the water will flow within the site. And basically it says from around the site, it will go into wetlands to be filtered, and then it will go into a water retention pond and then a detention pond if it's not enough. And then the overflow can also flow down the river. In addition to this, I also included museums, indoor and outdoor museums for both climate change and as well as the Cordillera rice terraces. So it's really important that we be able to educate the people who come into the site. And another thing I included were actually agricultural gardens, because the Ifugao really celebrate specifically they celebrate rice, and they have a lot of rituals and festivals revolving around this. And I think it's a really important aspect of their culture to be able to include that. Another aspect is I actually included renewable energy farms, which has wind power and solar, just to be able to add that. In the next slide, these are some perspectives I made. So if you can see, I actually did all of these by hand, and these are perspectives also done by hand. So on the first picture, that's the renewable energy farm, and in the second picture, those are the indoor museum as well as the wetlands and retention ponds that will serve to filter the water and hold it in the site.
Okay, and then for my presentation, I would like to present to you the most recent project that I've did, which is a project on our campus lagoon. So there's a lagoon in our campus by the entrance of it, and the project brief was to create it into a recreational area. So in tackling the project, so we go first into research. So since it was pandemic, I couldn't really go to the site visit. So what I did was just visit online via the Google Maps and Street View in Google. And then, so I've indicated where the main site is. And then I do like a rough inventory of it, of what kind of trees are available and what are around the main site. So there are notable landmarks such as the main entrance, and then there's also a mini village near the site, and then there's also 2 colleges near the site, which are the Fine Arts and the Architecture College. And then what I did was you move on to the site and user analysis. So in order to evaluate what kind of site it is, we need to do a SWOT analysis. So for the strengths of the site, it's very accessible since it's a very open space and it's accessible by car, by foot, or by pedestrian. So, and there are also nearby UP entrances available very close to the site. And for its weakness, it's probably since it's a very dark area because of the trees, it's perceived as gloomy and secluded from the rest of the campus. And then for the opportunities, it can be a space for alternative learning for the students, and it can provide different spaces or activity nodes for the different kinds of users available in the site. And then for the threat is basically imbalance in the ecosystem, since any kind of development made into an untouched land will have an effect on the ecosystem. And then for the user analysis, since a recreational space is a product of wherein users come and have a leisure time of their own, they kind of dictate what kind of activities and spaces will be present in the site. So I've divided them into 4 different kinds of users. So the students, they will be more focused on academic activities like school events, or meetings or practices, and for studying. And then for the residents, there are a lot of children also residing near the area, so they might need a play area or a playground. And then there are visitors who visit the campus, since it's a public space and a very notable landmark in the Philippines. So the kinds of activities is that they usually meet up here or they do sightseeing. And then the actives are the ones who enjoy an active lifestyle. So they do jogging, walking, parkour, and other kinds of activities that are similar. So when it comes to concept making, I've decided to go with metamorphosis. So I've drawn inspiration from the cycle of the butterfly, wherein it's divided into 4. And the first one, the number 1, would be the eggs. It indicates the start or the beginning, and it has circular forms. And then the second would be the number 2, they have minimal mobility. So it clearly they do a lot of eating. So I've dedicated their space for eating areas and food stalls. And then the third one, they are very secluded. So I've dedicated a more quiet and slow-paced activities into these areas. And then the last one is the butterfly. So it's the most colorful space in the area, and it has a color curvilinear forms, very organic, and it can be also a space for the expression of the students. So in a way that it's divided, the first one, as you can see, I've divided it based on the cycle. And then the second, the largest chunk, I've divided into half of wherein it's an active and passive. So just to give it a better dictation of the spaces. So this is the site development plan that I proposed. So there's the bubble diagram in the upper right of wherein it shows how the different spaces needed by the users are interconnected or layouted within the site from each other. So these kind of bubble diagrams also help in coming up with the pathwalk design and how the spaces will be interconnected. And then for some perspectives, I made this in SketchUp, and then I rendered them through Twinmotion. So it just shows like spot sections, perspectives of it. So just to show how it would look like. And then usually we also create technical working drawings like sections or lighting plan. And we usually made it in CAD, but for presentation purposes, I've extracted it and placed it on Photoshop just to give it more visual understanding for the people.
Hello, so now we're going to talk about our landscape archaeorg, which is called UPClass, the University of the Philippines Diliman Circle of Landscape Architecture Students. So the picture over here is a shot of many of our members. And the mission of UPClass is to promote the landscape architecture as a field and also as a study. And it also really promotes that everyone be good stewards of the built and unbuilt environment.
And UCLAS also promotes a sense of community. So we promote camaraderie, friendship, dedication within the members and within the members beyond the scope of academics. And we also reach out to people who are not part of the organization through our different activities, such as we have like different talks and seminars and workshops for high school students, college students from other courses, and also adults who are just simply interested in the field. And we also do fundraising activities like the environment and tree lighting, just to give back to the community and to further our goal in landscape architecture.
So that's the end of our presentation, and thank you again for inviting us. So our details are there if you would like to reach out to us, or if you have any questions, we'd be happy to help you.
Yay, thank you.
So, thank you so much, Juan and Karina, for your presentation. Actually, I really love your presentation. Well, besides the value of your presentation, I love the color theme. Actually, it's so cute with the purple and pinks. And you mentioned that the design approach in your university, it's kind of great. It's like, it's so, I'm sorry. Hello?
Hello, yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. And I love your design approach. And Karina, your project about the climate change and culture and also the renewable energy, that's just so perfect. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
I really love Juwan's concept that metamorphosis from butterfly. It's, oh my God, it's so inspirational. I just feel so overwhelming. And yeah, because I believe not besides me, everyone else have their own questions. If you have any question, you can just open your microphone and ask, or maybe you can just ask it through the chat column.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello. My name is Jafar Apikuala, and I'm student from Lanskap Architecture Sakti 2019. I want to ask, how landscape architect can compete with other architect and civil engineers? Because a lot of landscape architect project completed by other profession. Thank you.
So I honestly see that more and more people are really becoming more interested in landscape design and even residential design. And so basically, I feel like the niche of landscape design is becoming more and more popular. And so I think the skill of especially being able to work with plants and being able to design these outdoor spaces are becoming more and more valued, at least here in Manila. So, for example, the firm I interned with was they actually had a lot of projects with residential landscape. So that kind of shows us that they're really, at least in Manila, there's a big trend with this going on. What do you think, Juwan?
So I think it is a evident issue that there is like a cross between the two professions, like the architect and the landscape architect. But I think the most important thing to remember is respect to each profession. So we've been taught in our class, like professional practice class, that there are rules made, there are laws made in order to give proper distinction between the two professions. And it's about taking your claim and respecting what your job is and respecting what others' jobs are. So it would be a very difficult journey, but we'll get there. Yeah. Sorry, did we answer your question?
Thank you, thank you.
Okay, next question we have from Marsha. Maybe Marsha asked, is landscape architect well known in your country, in the Philippines? Because in Indonesia, it's not really a well known profession.
I would say it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like I think whenever I say that I study landscape architecture, they always kind of ask me what it is, and I always have to explain. So I'd say it's not at all, but hopefully it will be in the future.
Yeah, because I feel like landscape architects will also like play a big role after the post-pandemic situation, since outdoor spaces will be very crucial to the community. So I feel like the landscape architects will be sought out for more in the future.
Yeah, our friend Bea actually messaged the chat and to say that only about 3 colleges in the Philippines offer the landscape architecture course. So it's really not popular at all. Yeah.
Well, we hopefully that landscape architecture will be more popular in the future, right? In Indonesia and Philippines too.
Yeah.
And Gabriel Chase Patron asked, what is the most fulfilling part about being a landscape architect?
I think the most fulfilling part about being a landscape architecture student is that there are really lots of things and lots of possibilities that we could potentially go into the future. And as I mentioned earlier, like especially there are lots of opportunities to help these problems that our planet is facing, especially environmental problems. And I think that's really great, and it's quite unique to our field to be able to help in that way.
Yeah, because landscape architecture is very focused on the environmental aspect and the balance of like the ecosystem and everything. So moving forward, like in terms of climate change, as Karina mentioned in her project, it's a very important part for our community to like thrive. So yes, it's fulfilling.
Okay. Oh, and Balkis asked Karina and Juan, can we know why did you choose landscape architecture? Yeah, we were wondering about that too.
So for me personally, I was inspired when I went to other places, specifically, actually other countries, like for example, Japan, because in the Philippines we actually do not have that many. We actually do not have that many open spaces or public spaces or even parks. So when I was able to go abroad, I really saw like how people really connect and how much impact it really has on people and society even. So I just became really interested in that, and that is why I decided to study this.
For me, like to be honest, I didn't know that there was a course called landscape architecture at first, and I found out about it through a friend who was also taking up landscape architecture, and she was so passionate about the course and what she did. Like she would name plants and like talk about the sustainability and about the environment, and it really inspired me to actually join in on her passion as well. So I decided to shift into the course as well.
Thank you, Karina and Juan.
You're welcome.
Hello? Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes. Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Okay, I want to ask about your previous slide in your approach design. You described about the SWOT analysis, and can you please explain more about it, because I think we didn't learn it in our school. Thank you.
Oh, would you like to explain that, Juan?
Oh, so it's a common thing that we do, the SWOT. So it stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and strengths. So the strength part is basically what are the good parts of the existing site. So this may be like the ventilation or the sun path or the accessibility of it. And then for the weaknesses, it would be the opposite, the bad part of the site. And these are usually the problems that you have to address when coming up with your design. So, and then for the opportunities and threats, these are the possible outcomes that may happen if your development or your project will be developed into the site. So if your project will push through, like a part will be built, what kind of effects would it have? Like what kind of opportunities or what kind of threats will it have to the site or around the site? So yes, so that's basically what we use the SWOT analysis for. So it's a very effective way of just analyzing what needs we need to put into the design.
Okay, thank you so much for your information.
Hello, can you hear me? I want to ask you something.
Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, my name is Bangkit. I'm from IPB University. And then I want to ask you something. How was your major facing the postgraduate problematic? And then, I mean, there was some job fair and university took us responsibilities on that, or just let the student fly away after they graduate? Because there is that's the problematic of the postgraduate of the landscape architecture in Indonesia mostly. Thank you.
I honestly think that it's becoming more popular in the Philippines, and actually there is demand for it. So yeah, like at the firm I worked at this summer, they had a lot of projects, which I think indicates that there are a lot of people who are really interested in this, not just students but also potential clients for both commercial and residential. So I would say there are opportunities here in this field.
Okay, thank you.
Did I answer your question?
You answered that.
Okay, thank you.
On the chat column, Catherine Ang asked you question for Karina. You mentioned doing UI design. Do you apply design principles to your landscape architecture design as well? And do you have any ongoing projects right now?
Thank you for that question, Catherine. So I actually do try to apply these principles a lot. So I mentioned in the presentation that I really take a lot of time into learning about the context of the problem and the background. So this is the same for UI and UX and the same for landscape architecture. So for example, when I do design products or design UI, I always try to get user feedback at every step so that I know that we are kind of on the right track. So I would say the analysis portion as well as the research, it's all the same. And I would apply it to this also. Yes, I also have one ongoing project right now, which is not LA related, but it's kind of like an online platform for order management or POS kind of system. So that is also what I'm working on. Yeah.
So besides Lanskap architecture project, you also do other projects. So that's so wonderful. Wow.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
And from Kanriski Ramadi Wibowo, hi, I would like to ask, in your opinion, how has the COVID-19 pandemic affected the landscape architecture profession in the world? Thank you.
Maybe how it affected is its popularity, since after the pandemic, I mean, because of right now, there is an increase for the demand of outdoor spaces of wherein people can still enjoy themselves in a safe manner. So I've read an article like the post-pandemic designs would propose much more spacious designs of wherein people can still enjoy themselves, but still allow natural ventilation into the site, because being in an enclosed space or like buildings, it can actually it's much more dangerous in some way in when catching the pandemic, such as the COVID. So yeah, I feel like there is an increase for the demand and popularity of landscape architect after the pandemic.
In addition, I think it also forces us to think about kind of problems that we might not have considered before. Like, for example, we have to now account for stuff like social distancing and maybe more intense and stricter hygiene measures in the development. So I think it's also changing and affecting how we will need to design in the future.
Hi, may I ask a question?
Yes.
Well, first, my name is Nisrina. I'm from IPB University. So what I'm gonna ask is more to work related. I'm wondering, is that competitive in there? Is it type competition to be a landscape architect in Philippines? Because to be honest, in here, I personally have some kind of not fears, but like I'm really worried I'm not getting a job as I graduate, because the competition is, I think it's pretty tight, and not all architectural consultants really have the role of landscape in there. So we're basically always on the landscape architecture consultants, not like the architectural firms, because they don't provide a landscape role in there. And then so how do you guys prepare for the work related stuff? How do you guys create a great portfolio? How do you guys get connections and stuff? I think I'm wondering about the work related stuff. Thank you.
May I ask, do you usually, you mentioned that you usually work as consultants, so are landscape architectural firms not popular there, or what's the situation?
I mean, not all architectural firms that is only architectural don't have the role of landscape in there, so we can't apply as a landscape. So, and also the landscape consultant is also not that much. So so that's why the competition is tight. That's it.
I see. To be honest, I do not have that much experience really looking for a job in this field, but I can tell you how I prepared my portfolio and applied to jobs, which is I basically just set up a simple website, and I put my past drawings, my past works like that I've made during my school year. I really made sure to explain them well. So it's not just pictures in my portfolio. I also included my design thinking and my process behind it, so that I actually sent to lots and lots of firms. I really sent, because I wanted to apply and have an internship abroad. So I really applied to a lot. So I would just search for any kind of landscape architectural firm, even if they weren't looking for interns. I just I just applied. So that was really my strategy, and I just kind of applied to wherever I saw. So you can give that a try.
Well, may I know where you got your internship? Because you said it's abroad.
So actually, I got accepted in a firm in Indonesia, which is actually Urban Plus. Some of you might know
Oh,
it.
yeah.
I got accepted there, but then in the end, my university did not allow me to do an internship abroad, even if it's remote, because of COVID. Their reasoning was because of COVID, even though it would be remote. So they did not allow me to, and I ended up doing my internship at Clark Design Studio, which is a local firm here in Manila.
When it comes to the work opportunities, I just wanted to share like the firm that I work for, which is also a local landscape architectural firm in the Philippines. They have clients that are outside of the country, so they're abroad. So they seek other opportunities that are not within the country, and they provide like their services and consulting advices to works that are outside, like clients who are foreign. So I feel like that is also an area that you can tap on if ever the competition in the field is really hard.
Yeah, I also have a friend who actually finds LA work on online platforms like Fiverr and Upwork. So he kind of lists himself kind of like as a freelancer, and in that way he is also able to get landscape work even from people all around the world. Yeah, so that's also another way.
Good luck.
Thank you, Juan and Karina, for your tips and your solution. And probably Nadira will be our closing questions because it's almost 5 p.m. in Jakarta.
Mm-hmm.
Nadira, before I read Nadira's question, I would like to welcome Insinyur Ina Krisantia, one of our professor in Landscape Architecture Department in Trisakti University. So I will read Nadira's question. Hi, my name is Nadira. I am a student from Lanskap Trisakti. I want to ask to Juan, can you tell us about the background of butterfly metamorphosis so you decided to use it as your design concept?
So metamorphosis, it actually means like change into a different form. So I wanted to incorporate a part of the post-pandemic aspect into the design. So I took the metamorphosis as an inspiration for the site to be able to be resilient in terms of pandemic or similar kind of situations. So the spaces there are very open to concept of different people, so it can be transformed into different uses. So it's like multifunctional, so they can adjust to the kind of activities or spaces that are needed at the time. So that is the inspiration I've drawn from the butterfly.
Thank you, Joan, for your explanation of that butterfly metamorphosis. Well, I guess anyone else want to ask any question? Oh. From Insinyur Ina Krisantia, we have program independent campus. Is there a impossible to join program student exchange?
I think our university hosts exchange programs, and I can actually link you to the office that processes these student exchange programs, because I'm not really sure how it's done, but I can definitely send you the contact and the website of the office that processes these, so you can get more information.
Really, thank you.
Thank you so much, Karina. And anyone else want to ask question? Well, while we wait, anyone else to ask some questions? I want to ask Karina and Juan, how is the condition back there in Philippines during this pandemic? Is everything okay?
It's not good. Not good. I would say, yeah, it's really much worse than it was like a few months ago, and that our city actually had to go in lockdown again for 2 weeks, and then they're actually suggesting that in some regions of Metro Manila, which is the capital, that they go into ultra lockdown again. So it's really quite bad, but I'd say I'm very fortunate that I do not really have to go outside during this time and really have to expose myself. Yeah, how about you?
Well, in Jakarta, it's kind of the same. Everything is just getting worse and worse, but
oh, really?
Hopefully we are getting better soon. Rizal Maulana. Hi, my name is Rizal Maulana Ardiani, and I'm from Lanskap Architecture Trisakti. I want to ask you, what motivates you to study in the world of landscape architects? Maybe it can help me now in my studies. Thank you.
Maybe one of the motivation that I have while studying landscape architecture are my classmates and the peers that are involved. So my classmates and my professors, because they're very passionate people, and especially the professors, they are very eager to like reach out to you and let you explore your creativity when it comes to designing. So it's one of the motivation that are very helpful when studying, I guess.
For me, I really like how diverse the field is, in that you can kind of go into so many things. Like, for example, Juan said that she wants to study urban planning after, and then I personally am more interested also in like resilience and in sustainability. And it's also, you could also go into like ecology or even commercial design and residential design. So for me, I really just like how there are so many opportunities, and the field is really so broad that there are lots of opportunities even internationally. So that is one thing I really look forward to. Yeah.
Thank you, Karina and Joan. Well, I hope, Rizal, you will find your own motivation.
Hello, can I ask?
Okay.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
It's okay.
Hi, Karina. Hi, Juan. Before I ask, I actually, we've been heard about you from Intan, from Balkis, and Adita before. So I'm really glad to see you all with this live cam. Okay, so my question is, for a student that do a lot of design, do you usually have that art block, like creativity block, or sometimes when you cannot, you don't have any ideas or anything like that, and how do you overcome with that? Because usually I got that creative block too, and I don't know how to overcome that sometimes. Yeah, thank you.
I also experienced this, and I'm not really so sure. But I do find that, like, if I'm stuck with a problem, or if I feel overwhelmed, that breaking down the steps or the things I have to do into really, really small steps really kind of helps me not be overwhelmed. But as for really like a creative block, I'm not really so sure.
For me, when I get stuck, I feel like it's good to like get new perspective. So I try to like consult with my friends on what they think I can do. So yeah, just talk and do something else if you have a creative block.
Oh, okay.
Or actually Pinterest is also, and even the internet. But for me, I find like there are lots of great ideas and great pictures on Pinterest. You can also try that.
Yeah, it
Yeah?
helps too. Yes.
Okay.
It helps a lot. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any more questions? Well, from me, I want to ask to Karina and Juan. You mentioned that in your UP class that one of the activities is fundraising activities. And how is that going? I mean, how's technically that's going? And because fundraising, it's kind of hard to do.
I feel like it is a struggle to do fundraising events because in order to actually raise funds, you have to spend money first. So I feel like it's a struggle to like find that balance in order to actually come with an income to give to the charity that we've decided on. So what we usually do, especially from our last fundraising event, we try to use recycled materials and we try to like collect these items that we can reuse for the projects and in designing the actual site in order to cut down on expenses. And then the biggest suggestion that I can give when having a fundraising event is the importance of tapping onto the alumni for solicitations, because it's probably the biggest income that you can gain for your event. Yeah, which is quite hard to do, but we can do it.
Sometimes some businesses and like I think for UPClass before we've had sponsors from like construction companies or like even kind of materials companies. So sometimes some of these types of companies are willing to give out some sponsorships. And besides that, sometimes our members also end up selling stuff like stickers or cookies to raise some funds.
Okay, thank you so much. Maybe in the future, our student association will be able to help fundraising too.
Yeah.
Anyone else want to ask questions?
I want to know something before the closing. I want to know from both of you, as a landscape architecture student, what is your hope for landscape architecture in the future? Thank you.
So for me personally, I really hope that Filipinos will be able to experience having nice public open spaces, because actually if you've been to Manila, even basic things like sidewalks and other public spaces, basically it's really not good. And so I guess my hope for this is really that that Filipinos will have a better spaces. Like for example, even better sidewalks, better roads, even better public transport and shared open spaces. I feel like it's something that we need. That's really my hope. Yeah.
Yeah, along with that, I feel like my hope for landscape architecture is to become the normal. So it's not just for the elite or the rich people. So it's more like for the community and for the general masses. Since it's a space that can be used by everyone, even the children. So I just hope that landscape architecture can be a staple in coming up with communities.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you.
Okay, I think that Anissa's question will be the last question we have for today. Okay. Okay, so now for the last, before we are entering the last session of Kenalan First Day, on behalf of Trisakti University Landscape Architecture Student Association, I would like to say thank you and a huge appreciation to Karina C. and Jiwon Kim for sharing with us their precious experience and knowledge. Also, we are all very grateful for all the attendants that attend the first day of Kenalan. As a token of our appreciation for Jiwon Kim and Karina C. valuable contribution on today's Kenalan topic, getting closer to a landscape architecture student, we would like to present a certificate of appreciation.
Thank you.
Yay!
Oh, thank you.
Ooh. Thank you.
Okay, and before we are entering the photo session, I have some information to share with you guys. So, Hijau Jakartaku is an event held by the Trisakti University Landscape Architecture Student Association, and Kenalan is a part of it. Besides Kenalan, we also have a competition, which is Student Design Competition. So, for more information about this competition, you can visit our Instagram or hmjl_trisakti or Hijau Jakartaku. And now we are entering today's last session. Please turn on your cameras and smile because we are entering the photo session.
Smile.
Smile. 1, 2, 3, smile. Alright. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Karina, Juan.
Thank you, Intan.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Metal.
Mahal kita, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so for the last time of today's Kenalan, we would like to say thank you and we are all very grateful for your will to attend today's Kenalan. I hope to see you guys soon and I wish you all to always stay healthy and happy. Bye!
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you,
Thank you for everyone
everyone.
that has been joining.
Thank you, everyone.
See you next time.
Nasya belum nyambut